Hey guys, it's Cohesion Plus back on board today with my second off-season mock draft. Now, even though this one is recorded after the combine, the script for it was before the combine, but I don't think that will affect it much because mostly combine affects early second round, third round players. Like not much will have changed in this mock draft after the combine, like directly after. But yes, my second one of the off season. I'm going to change some things up. Some things are going to stay the same, but a lot of things are going to be completely different from my last mock draft. But let's show a couple of examples as we get right into it. So first, just like usual, we've got the Chicago Bears, and this one is staying the same since Justin Fields has been rumored to leave. Even if he didn't leave, I think the Bears will still draft Caleb Williams. I just don't see any other possibilities. I don't think being unique is worth making a completely just impossible situation where the Bears draft someone other than Caleb Williams. But for the Commanders, last time I had them drafting Joe All. I still don't really know if they're going to pick QB, but mostly everybody's saying they will. And for this mock draft, I'm going to have them go in that direction, see how it looks for the rest of the mock draft. I'm going to have the Commanders grabbing Jake May out of North Carolina, just about as good as Caleb Williams, but Williams fits more into the mold of how QBs are today. And we're going for our first trade on the third pick. There's been some rumors that the Patriots are going to trade down. And I think a perfect thing to do that is with my Atlanta Falcons, since they've also been rumored to trade up with. Oh, crap. All right. So, Patriots, Falcons, 3 and 8. Of course, they had to add on a lot more stuff, but this is just kind of me trying to get the trade over with. If it was a 2-round mock draft, I would try to replicate the trade on what I think would happen. But in this case scenario, we're just going to do whatever we can to make it go down. And even though Daniel's actually pretty low on the board, for QBs, it's just such a valuable position that it doesn't really matter where they are compared to the rest of the draft. And we're going to have the Falcons grab Daniels here. Next, we got the Cardinals. I think their draft pick is also going to stay the same. I think they grab Marvin Harrison. I still just don't see anything else that would change my mind about that. And I don't know if anything will ever change my mind about them grabbing Marvin Harrison here. This last time I had the Chargers trading down here. This time they're going to stick and pick. Joe All had an amazing combine, as well as being just probably OT1 anyway. But I mean, it's a really close race between him and Fashanu, but that combine might have widened the gap a little bit. I'm going to go with Joe All out of Notre Dame for the 5th pick. And next we've got New York. And that was a really good receiver class. Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, Ryan Thomas, Keon Coleman are all really, really good receivers. And Mitchell and, of course, Worthy have risen stock thanks to the combine. But I just think it has to be between Neighbors and Dunze. And I think the Giants are going to go into Malik Neighbors' direction. It's possible that they go Dunze instead. But I think they need a receiver. And I think Neighbors has the explosiveness that the Giants really want on that receiver core. Next, we got the Titans. I think they're going to grab Olu Fashanu. They need more protection for... Dude, I cannot remember that man's name to save my life. Titans QB. He's young. Will Levis. Could not remember that for some reason. Yep, Will Levis. I need protection for Will Levis. I think Fashanu will be perfect for that. J.D. Lavin could be picked above him, but right now I don't see anything that makes you feel like Fashanu isn't at least OT2. But next we've got the Patriots. And from places where I do see them trading down, Adunze is a pretty popular pick here. And they do really, really need a wide receiver. So if they could stick and pick and not pick a QB, they could pick Marvin Harrison there. They could draft Daniels, or they could trade down and pick a Dunze. But there's a lot of great options for the Patriots at their position at either 3, 8, or whatever they trade down to if they do trade down. But at that point, I think you have to grab a Dunze if you're at number 8. Next, we got Chicago. And usually have the Falcons picking Dallas Turner. But since they already traded up for a QB, he is in prime position for the Bears to select him. And they do need edge rusher. They could pick offensive line help Fields, though. But they did pick Darnell Wright last year. Or not Fields, Williams. Next, we got the Jets, and I usually always have them picking offensive tackle. Last time I had them picking J.C. Latham, but Talise Fuaga has been mocked to the Jets a lot, even from Bengal, who you should subscribe to him. He's a very cool man, YouTuber, and mock draft maker. But I'm going to go with Fuaga there. He's been pretty popular to the Jets. But Latham, do not forget about him. He could also go to the Jets. You never really know. And next, we've got the Vikings. Last time I had them trading up for Jaden Daniels. This time, they just stick and pick, and they're going to still go with the next best QB on the board, which to most NFL teams, it seems to be J.J. McCarthy, despite Penix and Bo Nix having like a lot more like shine. McCarthy was more on a run game and defensive team, while Penix and Bo Nix had more chances to throw the ball deep. But apparently, McCarthy fits really well into more offensive schemes, so that's the pick here. And he is pretty similar to Kirk Cousins, so except he has way more mobility than Cousins. But next, we got the Broncos. I think they have to pick corner here, and I think they're going to pick the Alabama cornerback, Terry Arnold, who's, I mean, let's be honest, I don't even think he was mocked to be a first-round pick, like when the season first started, but now he has risen all the way to CB1. But next, we've got our second trade so far. I think the Raiders, if they realize that J.J. McCarthy is no longer on the board, and they have really nobody they want to pick at 14 or wherever they are, they're going to want to trade. And I have the Rams trading up with the Raiders both times. And it's for the same player. So we got the Raiders, and we've got the Rams, 13 and 19. Just like last time, I'm going to have them trade up and pick Latu. No idea how long Aaron Donald's going to last. And besides Aaron Donald, who do the Rams even have on that defensive line that you can name? Yeah, that's why they're picking Latu right here. And I have the Saints grabbing Brock Bowers here. Last time, Odunze was still on the board, which you just can't pass up on at 14. But here he's not, so they're going to go with the next best receiver, which is easily Brock Bowers. Next up, we've got the Colts, and this pick has also stayed the same for a long time. I think they picked Chop Robinson, and they expected amazing combine from him. There's just such a stacked edge rusher class. And Jared Verse still on the board. They go with Chop Robinson over him. And next we got the Seahawks, who also pretty much have to pick cornerback, I think. I mean, it's not, well, they don't have to. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But there's not really any guards or centers worth picking at this point. Linebacker is a pretty weak position throughout. And I think it's either corner, which is still a weak position, even with them picking Devin Witherspoon, or defensive tackle. Here we'll go with the more valuable position, which I think is corner. I think they're going to go with Nate Wiggins. Last time Terry and Arnold fell to them, which was insane in my old mock draft. But here they got a more reasonable pick, which is Nate Wiggins. So it's probably cornerback 2 or 3, depending on who you ask. But next we got the Jags. And I usually don't have them going defensive tackle here. But looking at Jalen Carter last year, if you have the skills and the tools, you will be picked. And I think John Young definitely has those things. The Jaguars could surprise a lot and draft defensive tackle at 17 here. Next we got Cincinnati, and I have them going with a cornerback, Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo. You don't really see many Toledo players get picked, or even group of 5 teams in general. But he's definitely worth it. And you know competition is a pretty big thing, but what matters more is the he wasn't bad in the combine, I don't think. I don't remember him. Was he even in the combine? I really don't. He didn't show out, but he has what you want in the corner. Maybe even more than Terry and Arnold or Nate Wiggins. But cause wasn't Nate Wiggins who was really small but also really fast? Let me see. Let me look at defense cornerback. It had to be him. Yeah, it was him. But what am I trying to say? What's his name? Quay Mitchell is more traditional. Let me look. Actually, I want to look at his size. I believe he's bigger than 173. Because now I'm really interested to see how he did in the combine. He ran a 4.33. Yeah, he is way bigger. 195, 6 foot. So yeah, way more not predictable. Traditional corner, but he still got that speed. 4.33, pretty good vert. Really good athleticism score per the NFL. But yeah, we're going to stop talking about him, even though he is amazing. And move on to the Raiders pick, where I have them picking J.C. Latham, who fell extra far. You cannot pass up on Latham there. It's just that simple. And you got the Steelers, and they're gonna notice, hey, there's a really good offensive tackle from Georgia. We got one last year. Why don't we get one again in Amarius Mims? That's two offensive tackles in a row. But I do not believe the Dolphins are going to cash in on that. Instead, I think they're going to go with Cooper DeJean. I think they just lost Xavier Howard. I'm very sure they just did. Xavier. But really? All right, we're back. But yeah, Xavier Howard was released or whatever by the Dolphins. I think Mr. DeJean is a perfect pick for them here. Don't overthink it. Next, the Eagles. Now they could pick defensive tackle here in what is his name? Byron Murphy, but Jared Verse is still on the board. He's an amazing edge rusher. They already have Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. I think they decided to pick someone on the outside going against the offensive tackles here in Jared Verse. Texans, I've always had them picking receiver here. I've literally never changed that up even once. I'm not going to change it up here. Brian Thomas out of LSU is not complicated at all. They're happy that he fell this far. Cowboys, also pretty simple. I think there's a guarantee that they pick offensive line here. I'm not going to say it, but I think there's a really high chance that they pick offensive line. I'm going to actually have them picking Kingsley Suamataia. It's really hard to pick between like a lot of these offensive linemen. It's really hard to differentiate between them because this is a strong edge rusher class, strong receiver class, strong QB class, strong offensive line class. And sometimes you just got to predict what the team would rather prefer. And here I'm going with Suamataia out of BYU. Next, we got the Packers. I think they're going to go with Keon Coleman. They could end up picking corner or secondary in general here. But, I mean, Jordan Love needs help. It's not like the receiver core is terrible either. It's just that Jordan Love is so good that getting him elite receivers is exactly what the Packers need to do. Next, we've got the Buccaneers, and I've got them going offensive line all the way to Graham Barton out of Duke. I believe he used to be listed as offensive tackle here, but they changed it up to offensive guard. But I don't think that changes his value much because if he's been listed as tackle for them, means he can play both. So wherever the Bucs want to play him, he'll do good for them there. And next we got the Cardinals, which I think they're going to go Kool-Aid McKinstry here. I think they lost like a few corners over the years, so they could really use a replacement. Even though McKinstry's no longer CB1 like he used to be, he still is a great cornerback, much like Terry and Arnold. And I think Cardinals are definitely going to take advantage of that and pick him thanks to his fall. Next, we've got Buffalo, and I think they're going to go with Xavier Worthy. I think when you're getting late here in the first round, you're willing to pick players based off of combines, and that speed is blinding. They need a deep threat, especially because Diggs cannot do it by himself, even though he wasn't all that great either. But they still want help, a consistent player, unlike Gabriel Davis, who's good every 3-4 games. Worthy's a good option. I think the Lions are actually going to trade down here with not with the NFC team instead of the AFC, so it won't affect them too much. Only a couple spots. But the Chiefs, bro, what do you mean you won't accept a trade that you don't want to trade for a better pick and nothing else? Bro, okay, here all that just for your very second pick. Okay, Chiefs. Okay, I don't understand. But yeah, they know his Worthy is off the board. They need to grab a receiver. They think the gap between Mitchell and McConkey and Franklin are wide enough that they need to grab the next best receiver. They get A.D. Mitchell out of Texas, especially because the Ravens could have definitely picked. They're not trading up with the Lions to stop the Lions. They're trading in front of the Ravens, and the Ravens are not happy about that, but they will pick Byron Murphy. They could use some help in the interior defensive line after losing players like Calais Campbell. Next, we got the 49ers. I think they pick offensive tackle Troy Fautanu. I mean, I was surprised by how much Purdy was rushed in that game against the Chiefs. But, yeah, they could definitely fix that. And finally, we've got the Lions, pick 32. They're known for picking pretty unusual players last year, and I think they're going to go safety here, despite picking one last year. What's his name? Brian Branch was basically another nickel cornerback, so they still could use a safety. I don't got them getting Cameron Kinchins out of Miami. I heard Tyler Newman's risen up the board a lot, but for now, this was before that actually happened, so Kitchens was the high safety, and that's why I have the Lions picking. But yeah, that's the end of this mock draft. Tell me any picks you agree with, disagree with. We're gonna have our first 2-round mock draft for the season later on, but that's another day. And it's been a while since I uploaded, so it's good to get a video out here. See you guys later. Adios.